Congratulations. You've been approved for $350,000 to purchase a home. That would be wonderful, right? What if lender called you and told you that today? Let me ask you though, would you immediately go shopping for a $350,000 house? If your answer is yes, I want you to slow down just a little bit, okay? Because getting approved for a house and being comfortable owning that house are not the same thing. And nobody wants to talk about that part. Nobody wants to talk about making sure that you can afford the home. And so we spend so much time talking about the beautiful kitchen. We talk about the big backyard. We talk about the 3-car garage, any upgrades that are happening. But tonight, I want to take the time to talk about something even more important. And that is, can you actually afford the life that comes with the house? Okay? Because I don't want you to get the keys to your dream home and then realize that you are going to be struggling trying to keep it. All right? So I want you to be able to say that you can afford the home. So that's what we're talking about tonight. So hello everyone, my name is Glenn Ransom. I'm your intentional agent. I am a new construction specialist in the Fort Bend County and surrounding areas. And I'm just here to educate you on purchasing a home, the transaction, and everything that goes with it. So if you're a first-time buyer, you're thinking about buying new construction, or you're dreaming about your forever home, this conversation is for you, all right? And I want this to be interactive, so if you're watching live, tell me where you're from. Give me any questions that you have about the transaction of purchasing a home, whether it's financing, whether it's the credit, whether it's getting approved. Put your comments down in the comment box and we'll get them answered for you. So let me ask you, what is one thing you can think of that is stopping you from buying a home right now? Okay. Is it money? Is it credit? Is it getting approved? Or is it the monthly payment? What is one thing that's stopping you from right now? Or maybe you just completely overwhelmed and you don't know where to start. So put that in the comments and let me know so that we can talk about it. So let's start with one of the biggest mistakes I see buyers make a lot. They get the pre-approval and they think that's my budget. No, okay? That's your approval amount. But that doesn't necessarily have to be the amount of the home that you purchased, okay? So let's say that you get qualified for a $350,000 home, and that, you know, the excitement starts and you start kind of thinking about what kind of home you want, and, you know, start looking to see what that $350,000 price range home is looking for. But before you start looking at the homes, you need to make sure that you're asking, what would my complete monthly payment look like? Because sometimes that monthly payment can take you out of your budget, right? So if you have you got approved for a $350,000 house, right? And your monthly payment is $2,600 a month, but you can really only afford $22,000, then you need to make sure that that's something that you're looking at when you're starting to look for a home, okay? You also have to remember, I think we talked about it in episodes, maybe 3 or 4. We talked about what's included in that monthly note, okay? So you got your property taxes. Remember, we have our property taxes. We have our homeowner's insurance, our HOA for the annual, yearly, and then you have MUD taxes and those type of things that's going to be included in that monthly note. But then you also have to remember that you do have other expenses within your simple living time, right? So you have your utilities, you have your groceries, your car payments, student loans, credit cards, you know, even emergencies, vacations. So you want to make sure that the house that you're looking at fits into your life, right? And that you're not going to be struggling just because you got qualified or approved for a $350,000 house, that you're not going to be struggling to keep that $350,000 house. So here's the question that I want you to start asking, instead of how much house can I qualify for, ask how much house can I comfortably afford. Okay, those are two different questions, completely two different questions, because I don't want you to be buying a house where you're sitting in the kitchen every month praying to God that you keep the house. All right, so I want you to be able to enjoy your home. I want you to be able to still save when you purchase your home. Make sure that you still have your emergency funds set to the side. Those are some of the things that you're going to look at when you're purchasing a home. So just because you got qualified for the $350,000 house doesn't mean that you have to purchase the $350,000 house. All right. So home ownership should give you a foundation, not a financial burden. Okay. That's why I call myself your intentional agent. We're not just looking at a house, we're looking at the decision. We're looking at the investment that you're making in purchasing a home. So how much money do you need to purchase a home? This is one of the biggest questions that I get also. When I sit down with my clients and we start talking about what they're looking for in a home, what they need in a home, the question that comes up the most is, how much money do I need to be able to purchase a home? Now, that answer is going to be different for everybody, right? It's not one number, one amount for everybody, because everybody's situation is different. Somebody's credit might be in the 700s. Somebody's credit might be in the 600s. Somebody's job employment might be 6 figures, while other people's employment might be 5 figures. So those are some of the different things that's going to be able to make it where you're figuring out how much money do I need as far as to purchase a home. Now, your cash needed can depend on your loan program or down payment, your closing costs, your prepaid expenses, the property, the lender's requirements, and what assistance or incentives may be available to you. So those are some of the things also that you're going to think about when you're talking about how much money do you need to be able to purchase a home. And this is where I want to make sure that we clear up a huge misconception, okay? Down payment is not the same thing as closing costs. Those are two different payments, all right? And neither one is necessarily the same as the total amount of cash you need to bring to closing, okay? So those numbers can all be different. Everything can always be different for each person, each individual person. And that is the reason why I say we need to sit down, we talk, have a conversation, get with a loan officer or the bank or whatever, to be able to talk numbers over to make sure you understand how much money you're going to need to be able to purchase a home, right? The other thing that I want to make sure that I stress about is that 20% down payment myth. That I don't know how long that 20% down payment myth has been around, but it's not always necessary that you have to put 20% down, okay? You can say, well, I don't have the 20% and that's what's stopping me from purchasing a home because I can't save up 20% for a down payment. Okay, who told you that you had to? Who told you that you had to have the 20%? Because there are different loan programs with different requirements. Some buyers may qualify for, significantly less than 20%. There are also down payment assistance programs. There's grants out there. And with new construction, the builders are offering Most builders, some builders, depending on the season, time of the year, are offering incentives that could potentially help you with certain expenses. So listen to me carefully when I say this. Do not shop for incentives before you understand your finances. Okay? Make sure you understand what your finances are doing and how they're doing it. Okay? So before we start shopping for incentives and things like that. But there are different things out there that can help you be able to purchase a home. There are some things out there that can be able to help you purchase a home. Okay? The question isn't how much are they giving me. The question is, what does this incentive actually do for my transaction? That's why we talked about the builder's incentives in episode 5, I believe. We have we looked at the entire picture of how that incentive can help you be able to purchase your home. All right, so let's talk about credit just a little bit, because I want to make sure I cover this part too. If you're sitting and you're thinking my credit isn't perfect, so there's no way that I can buy a home, please don't automatically count yourself out. Okay, your credit matters. Yes, it matters. It does matter. But your credit score isn't necessarily the entire story. So lenders may consider your income, your debt to income ratios, your payment history, your employment, your credit profile, and some other factors to be able to see if you can qualify for a loan. So just because your credit is not perfect, just because you don't have, the 800 credit score and stuff like that, you may still be able to qualify for a loan depending on where your credit score is and other factors. Those other factors that I just talked about can possibly help you get qualified for a loan. So don't just count yourself out because you're saying, oh, my credit is bad and I'm going to have to pay down, $10,000 worth of credit cards and stuff like that before I can qualify for a loan. Okay, let's talk about it and see where you're at, and then be able to put a plan together if that's something that we need to do. Okay, one of the other things I do want to say is that Credit Karma is not the credit that we use as far as when we're doing real estate. When you're getting approved for real estate, Credit Karma is not going to be something that we look at to be able to get you those scores. All right, because Credit Karma is something that is used for mostly like car loans and stuff like that. When it comes down to the real estate part of it, when you're starting to look into real estate and you're starting to get approved for purchasing a home and stuff, there are other FICO scores and stuff that's being used for that. So that's the reason why it's important that we get together so that you can get with a loan officer to be able to tell you your numbers that they look at when they're getting ready to approve you for that loan. All right. So now we talked about the credit score. We talked about, employment and stuff like that, different ways that you could be able to qualify for the loan. So now let me get personal for a minute. Okay. If you've been saying I can't afford a house, I don't want you to hear that tonight. Okay. I want you to be able to understand that it's possible that you can. A lot of people that I work with, when we first sit down and we talk about things, they have this thing in their mind that I can't afford a home. I don't know where I'm gonna get this money from. I'm just gonna keep on renting because that's what I can afford right now. And a lot of times when I send them to my loan officers and they get qualified, they understand the financing part of it, they get their pre-approval, and then we find them a home and things like that. At the end, their biggest thing is, oh my God, I didn't think that I really qualified to be able to be a homeowner. Okay, so please don't count yourself out thinking that your circumstances may keep you from being a homeowner, because you won't know unless we sit down and we talk about it. All right, so before you start touring, I want you to write these 5 questions down. All right, what monthly payment am I actually comfortable with? Not the maximum payment, the comfortable payment. That's question number 1. Question number 2, what will my complete monthly house expenses be? When we're looking at the mortgage, the taxes, the insurance, your light bill, your water bill, your gas bill, all of those, that put all of that, your expenses, write them down. You want to know what your complete monthly housing expenses are going to be. How much cash, number 3, how much cash will I realistically need? Okay. There, like I said, told you, there are down payment programs out there, but you're going to need some money for down payment. You're going to need some money for closing costs. You're going to need some money for other transactions that are related to the transaction of purchasing a home. So maybe you'll need money for home inspection. Okay, maybe you'll need money for appraisal. All right. Some of those things are upfront costs that you're going to have money for. So yes, you're going to need some money for some things. You can't just, I'm not going to tell you that you can just come to the table with no money, because even if we have the ability to be able to get your incentives where your closing costs is covered, or down payment assistance programs or grants and stuff like that, you're still going to need some money to be able to come to the table with. All right. You're still going to need earnest money. That's another, different type of thing, money that's up front. But those are some of the things that you're going to need. So how much cash will I realistically need? Okay. And then question number 4, what financing and assistance options might I qualify for? Please don't assume that you know. Find out for sure. Call me. We can sit down and we can talk about it. Get with a loan officer. Go to your bank. Y'all sit down and talk about what financing and assistance or options might you qualify for. Everybody is different, all right? And so the question number 5 is, after I buy this home, can I still live my life? You want to make sure, like I said, even if you get qualified for a $350,000 house, is that really what you need? Is that really what's going to be best for you and your family? Is that going to be in your budget? That monthly note, is that monthly note going to be in your budget where you can be able to afford the home and afford to live after? Okay, so those are some of the questions that I wanted to make sure you write down. Go back and read, look at this video so you can answer those questions. So let me leave you with this tonight. You do not have to buy the most expensive home you qualify for. That is the big thing. Okay. You do not have to buy the most expensive house you qualify for. Get what you and your family need. All right. That's going to be within your budget. You don't have to prove anything to anybody. You don't need the biggest house on the block. You need the house that's going to make sense for your life, right? And your goals and your finances. And if you don't know what that number is yet, that's okay. All right. That's what the education is for. That's what I'm here for. So, I don't want you to think that you can't afford to purchase a home. But you can afford to purchase it if you have the information. All right. Don't let the bank, don't let anything stop you from being able to get this information. Okay. If home ownership is one of your goals for 2026, 2027, now is the time to start working on it. Now is the time to really get together and be able to sit down and put a plan together for you and your family. All right. So if tonight's conversation gave you something to think about, share this live with somebody who keeps saying, I can't afford a house. Have them to call me. I'm here for you. My name is Gwen Ransom, your intentional agent. My number is 346-702-6748. Drop a house in the comments if your goal is to purchase a home 2026, 2027. Like I said, we can start now to be able to set up a plan for you to be ready when you get ready. Okay. If you have any questions about purchasing a home, put it in the comments. I'll come back in and answer any questions. But look, I am here for you. I hope that this information helped you. I do have other episodes that we've already talked about covering a lot of stuff. And so I just want to make sure that you're educated within this transaction of purchasing or becoming a homeowner. So you can always go back and look at the other videos. I'm coming in every Monday, 7 p.m. on Mondays. And we're going to talk about different things throughout this the transaction of purchasing a home. Okay, so until then, like I said, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments, and yeah, I'll see y'all in the next episode. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate y'all. And if you don't see the videos on Facebook Live, you can always go to my YouTube channel, Your Intentional Realtor, on YouTube. Those videos are there too. Okay, subscribe to them. So let me know if I can help y'all. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I'll talk to y'all next Monday.